Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. You fuck around and find out it's what it is. Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. Give you a little instruction set at the moment. Normally, you'll see comments like such appearing on the screen. For this particular episode, I'm going to blow them up so people can read them easily because in this episode, I'm interested in your feedback. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you're thinking. And so I'm going to be able to pop them up on the screen. I should probably do this right there. Pop them up on the screen a little bit better. Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Folks, watch what's going on. I'm telling you, a digital swap, hot swap's coming. Pay attention. A digital hot swap is coming. I just think you need to request your free gold and silver kit today from the fine folks at Goldco. And you need to understand how, why, and where gold and silver play into this. It really does. So why not just ask, especially if you have a retirement account, 401k, IRA, etc. Now's the time to ask, folks. Just find out. Take care of yourself. And I can't help but think, it kind of slid under the radar a little bit. Do you remember that El Paso is under, wrapping up now, a 10-day air space lockdown? Anything flying from the air. That kind of scooted way under the radar. That is an anomaly in the United States of America when you have a city and a port that big, that they shut down all air traffic. And it kind of squeaked by. That tells me something's going on. I don't like it. I would rather put the power back in your hands. One of the ways I do this, and trying to make you the smartest person in the room, I did a book called Food Forest Bible. Everybody thinks about I should have a garden. You put it off, I should have a garden. Or I hate doing the garden. Or I hate digging. I hate waiting. Do you ever think about if everything goes to hell in a handbasket and everything goes down, you're not going to be able to retrieve information from the internet. That's why I did this. It's a hardbound book. It's an expensive book because it's full color, folks. But you can get a paperback version too. But this is Plan, P-L-A-N, and plant a garden in this method where your garden regenerates itself. When you think garden, you think probably a pain in the ass you got to do every year. You didn't know that there are ways to create these things where the longest ongoing food garden or food forest in the United States has been feeding its people, not in the U.S., sorry, globally, for 4,000 years. That's efficiency, baby. Now, don't get conned by other books out there that just ripped me off. Took it, stripped it, AI'd it, ripped it, did their own versions of it. It doesn't cover everything I cover. This is a well-heeled manual, Bible. Here it is. Look it up. You don't go back and forth. It's all contained in each one, even to the point, I know you want to get rid of pesticides and crap like that because of all the cancers and health problems we have. You wouldn't do it intentionally, but you can do it with bugs because God created bugs that will eat the bugs that eat your stuff. That's what they eat. People just don't know what they are, how to identify them, or more importantly, how to attract them. That's all in there. But it's that time of year, folks, whether you dig fruit or vegetables or whatever. Did it also with Giant Fruit, Small Spaces. That's a beautiful book as well. Very ornate. It's pretty amazing what you can do with fruit trees. And then if you're just kind of totally lazy like me at times and you don't want to dig and you don't want to weed, here are a lot of different ways you can do it where you don't have to have any of that. Okay. We're going to be talking some crap. And the crap we're going to talk about on this episode is something that is going around. People want answers. This is a program not to necessarily give you answers. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you're saying. And I'm going to show you what everybody's saying because I trust you're the smartest patriot in the room and you can make your own damn decisions. And that question is Bannongate. What say you? White hat? Some people are saying he's a white hat op. Other people are saying he's a black hat operator. What do you say? And that is why, right? We're going to put you up on the screen like fog, like pea soup is everywhere this morning. I'm going to put it up. I want to hear what you have to say. And yes, this is a replay. Yes, this is a replay. No, I'm not live. I'm actually on vacation in Hawaii. I'm just happen to have telekinesis and I can read your post. It's pretty nifty AI. Okay. We're going to have a little bit of fun this episode, folks. We're going to have a little bit of fun. And we're going to do some serious talking. So you get ready. You get ready. You get armed. We're going to show you what other people think. And I want you to comment on them and fill us in. Get ready. We'll start right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no. Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. You fuck around and find out it's what it is. Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, welcome to the crap, culture, race, and American politics. And right in the middle of America's culture, race, and politics is a fellow by the name of Steve Bannon. And so this episode's Bannongate. What say you? Some say he's a white hat. He's undercover doing an operation. Some people say, yeah, it's a black heart. And he's an operator. I'm going to let you decide that. I'm going to stay back here because even when President Trump wasn't in the White House, people were saying, oh, don't worry, he's there. It's a second White House, and Biden's in a fake one, and this, he's all there. You always a white hat. You always get this stuff. I want you to make your own mind up. Of course, Bannon's taking hits. He's in the Epstein files, right? He's taking hits all over. People are talking about it. People want to know what the hell's going on with this. I understand that. And people want this mystery solved. It's that simple. People want this mystery solved. They want to know what the hell is going on with Steve Bannon. Now, a lot of people are questioning a lot of things. I've often wondered, and I'm just going to tell you my position from the beginning. The rest is you and on you, okay? And I will put your post up on the screen, right, of what you think, because this program is yours. What do you think about this? And what is it? I have never personally met Steve Bannon. Been in the same room, at the same place, even at an election integrity something, big whoop-de-doo. He interviewed everybody except me. Never been in War Room. The one time I was scheduled on War Room, it was going to be Liz Harris, Seth Keshel, and myself. Word came back, no, we just want Liz and Seth. I think that says a lot because he's done a lot of coverage when it comes to quote unquote elections and security and everything else. And he was a big PCAP supporter, and, you know, Mike Lindell's on his show, whatever. Mike pays for that. Mike is a big revenuer for Bannon, right? Big money, not small money, big money. And that's kind of how Bannon operates. That's fine. There was a lot of issues. You know, he supported Build the Wall, which Trump, you know, pre-first era or whatever did well. And, but of course, people don't know underneath his terms were, I get the first $1 million, which he did. All of that ultimately went to court. But it was, okay, I'll talk about Build the Wall, but you're going to pay $1 million. I'm not, in my seat, it'd be fine for him, but I don't think that's a way you technically monetize your seat. And so I think this only falls two ways. It's rather black and white. I just want to know what your black and white is, right? Is he a white hat doing a sting operation in the underbelly world of bad actors? Or is he a bad actor posing as a white hat and he really belongs in the world of, black-hearted operatives? I don't know. The reality is nobody knows truly except Bannon, maybe a few others. But I'm going to show you all kinds of views of what other people are saying. Pay attention, listen, etc. And yes, if you've read any of the correspondence in the Epstein files, you got to judge Epstein three ways. You have to judge Epstein pre-Epstein, meaning when the world didn't know he was in trafficking, which it would be easy to get caught in his orbit of money and social circles. Many people were. Then there's what I call post-Epstein, which is when the world knew he was doing, we'll just call it trafficking. I told you a long time ago what his job was. And if you decided to deal with him post that, that's one way to view people with Epstein. And the other way to view Epstein is Epstein as a facilitator. Epstein was the type of person that this big elite here could go to this government here and make an illicit proposal or illicit thing for money, but they had somebody in between that had plausible deniability. I'll give you a good example. Let's say this family has a problem with the government. And this family wants to say, hey, go find the elected official, make this go away, and we'll pay him $20 million. Well, you don't do that, and you send Billy Ray Bob to the government. Hey, they're paying $20 million if they'll just stop this shit. Number one, Billy Ray Bob ain't going to get in. Number two, Billy Ray Bob doesn't have plausible deniability stroke. Let me give you an example. You couldn't send a normal Joe Blow in offering a government official $20 million if Joe Blow was just an everyday man. People wouldn't buy it at all, wouldn't think it was real. So that person has to have stroke. In that stroke, it gives them plausible deniability. Because, see, that person can go to the elected official and say, let's just make this go away. And it's not necessarily a bribe, but it's highly not prosecutable because that person says, I was just fucking around. I just want to see if this guy was bad. Get it? But it never goes back to the original offending family. Jeffrey Epstein was one of those people, a fixer, a doer, because he had cover. He had cover because he had money. He had cover because he knew everybody, and he could get in everywhere. That was Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so I want you to understand that. And I think we have to decide, are we watching or did we watch an operation being executed? Those are some of the things we're going to talk about. So with that said, right, and you're right, we cannot believe everything we hear. We can't. And there are all kinds of weird stuff out there being talked about, being suggested, being whatever. And yeah, I guess I could talk about them, but I don't have 100% way to vet them. But there's supposedly dialogue with Bannon and Epstein, and hey, are you going to have the girls there? Well, will there be young girls? I'm paraphrasing because I don't 100% remember. But one of the things I do remember, supposedly attributed to Bannon, was, okay, good. Can I shoot them afterwards? Who knows how much of this shit is being made up? I don't. So in our world, because we're not in those trenches and we're not in those rooms, here you go. It's all fucking opinion. So I just want to know, what's your opinion based on everybody else's opinion, right? And so let's go on the opinion stuff. But of course, in all fun and games, people are making fun of it.
Oh, my love, my darling, I've hung. Bannon was Jeffrey Epstein's friend, in business up until the end. Elon says that you were laundering money for evil people plundering. A chameleon insulated by puppets you've paid. Drunken charade. We see your China alliance.
The following is a public service announcement from the Dilly Meme team. God bless President Trump and God bless America.
So yeah, he's taking flack. But these things only happen when people want answers, people have questions, right? And they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So first, a little bit of dose of Steve when he speaks at places like Turning Point USA. I think this was maybe the time when Lindell's crew was there saying, don't mess with the voter rolls, it's sweeping a dirt floor. But I could be wrong. I don't know, but here it is.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence.
That is an interesting saying, though. He picks the lock on a lot of things.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who was working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. This is why it's a time for choosing now. We have to decide right now and back the president and say, hey, look, all of your great work, you just heard Tom Homan, you're about to hear Kristi Noem, of closing the border. How did we get 10 or 11 or 12 or 20 million on Biden's watch? That was a plan they had. That wasn't random. That has to be investigated and people held accountable like all these other things. This is why the Justice Department is clearly overwhelmed with what they're working on. The FBI is overwhelmed. We only have 2 guys at the FBI. We have a handful of people at the Justice Department. The special counsel or special prosecutor can take on many projects and add people to it. You have to get to the bottom of how the invasion took place, why we're now have to put up $170 billion in the latest bill to do this. We have to have a time for choosing. Here's my recommendation we do. I call them the Tampa Resolves. And it's very simple. Coming out of Tampa, it's like the revolution. They had the Virginia Resolves, and they would make these commitments to themselves before the Declaration of Independence. Number one, it's very simple. The deep state must be destroyed to free the American people. Is there any question about that? Is there any question about that? We have to destroy the deep state, and this is elements of the Pentagon, the Justice Department, the FBI, the CIA, certain elements that work under DNI, those 17 intelligence agencies, also parts of the State Department, the USAIDs of the world. That inner apparatus controls the government, and when President Trump tries to do something, they're always trying to thwart his actions, right? You see the leaks when Homan's sending these brave men and women into Los Angeles to do these raids, like the raid about the children trafficked to the marijuana farm to work. They're lying in wait for him. They're lying in wait for the agents. They got weapons to shoot. How does the protesters? Because somebody inside leaked it to them. Somebody inside leaks it to the media. That's the deep state every day. It must be destroyed. We're not free.
So there's Bannon. People love Bannon. Bannon has a big following. This is why I just want to know what you think. See, that's what we don't get. Most people don't read comments on all these posts and stuff when you see it on Twitter or Dilly frying him or whatever the case may be. But Bannon's one of these guys. You love him or you hate him, right? Lee Walden said, until the boss changes his mode, I'm pretty confident that Bannon is still tip of the spear. Okay. Fits a little bit within the white hat. The reason he's no longer around the White House and President Trump booted him out term one was because they were going to run a white hat operation. Okay. That's what I want to know. I want to know your opinions, right? I want to know your opinions on what's going on. Now, I do know that they have narrowed down through these Epstein files that Bannon was the source of the leaks during administration one. I don't think President Trump has mentioned him ever since he left. But we're now finding out, going through correspondence, that Bannon was working at odds, right? Odds against the president administration one. A lot of people were working against Trump in one, right? Is right. So I do this because I want to spawn dialogue, right? I want to spawn dialogue. I want to talk about this. I want to know what's going on. I'm not asking you to make a decision. I, on this thing, have no decision. My only thing with Bannon is, why in the fuck didn't you cover our work and refuse to? For me, in election integrity, what we have makes no sense at all, right? At all. So this is just to open the dialogue. Because when you get to a post, right, online, you're only as good as the people chattering about it. And it's not really about the person. And as far as I know, I'm different. On my Twitter and stuff, I'll answer you. Call me out. I'll call you back out. I'll say, prove it. Come on, right? Bannon doesn't engage with this audience. I engage with my audience. And so we really don't know, right? On a rolling day-to-day basis, what Bannon feels. Many of you say if Bannon really wanted the truth about election integrity, he would have had me on. I kind of agree with that statement. Totally agree with that statement. And so this is about, okay, what are people saying? What do people think? What kind of exposure do you have to him? That's why I played his piece, is because a lot of people haven't watched this stuff. Okay, so let's kind of roll through them. Here we go.
What's destroying the war room is Steve Bannon's own fans reading these fucking emails between he and elite pedophile sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. I can't go in there and disrupt that. His fans already fucking hate me. It's not me. It's your own fans are coming to the level of awareness where they go, oh shit, I've been duped. I've read the fucking emails myself. You're a pig and a weirdo. It'd be like if you guys found out that I was like doing his job and you'd be like, it wouldn't have mattered what I've said over the years and how funny I am. You'd be like, yeah, that's gross, dude. Like you betrayed Trump. It's like the fucking cardinal sin. You built a platform on the back of Donald Trump. You can never betray him, ever. Nobody will ever forgive you, ever, and nor should they.
That's the catch. That's the conundrum. The conundrum is there are two different people. There's Bannon on the air of what people think and his persona, etc. And then there is Bannon behind closed doors and emails and stuff that doesn't match. And I think Bannon's audience is beginning to see that. And they have a lot of questions. Okay, why was he so involved with this guy, even to the point of doing a documentary.
Did you watch that interview with Epstein and Bannon by chance?
I watched some of it.
What'd you think of that?
I mean, I don't know why Bannon was doing that. Like, what the hell? To resuscitate and revive his reputation?
Did you see when he asked him if he thought he was the devil?
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I know, but I do have a good mirror.
And it was kind of like laughing about it. It's sort of like they're laughing about his evilness, not just Bannon, but like other powerful people. Ha ha ha, you're abusing young girls. How many people wrote, like, bring the young girls, bring your harem with you? It's like they're celebrating.
They are celebrating his sickness.
What do you think about that? Guys talk. Guys can get together and talk about grabbing punani. Come on. Nobody's immune. Right? But what do you think about that? What do you feel or do you excuse? Is there any scenario where any of this makes sense to you? Any scenario. That's all I'm asking. Any scenario in that trying to, makes you go, that's okay. Or is this just a operation to try to make Bannon look bad? Now, yes, one of the things to consider in this mess is whether you trust Elon or not. When Elon became Trump's trusted advisor, Bannon was all over it, bashing the shit out of Elon. Now, for me, I don't judge people by their words. I judge people by their actions. Did Elon benefit free speech and MAGA in the United States or in the world? And you better believe he did, to the tune of billions of dollars and getting a hold of Twitter. So you can measure Elon by what he does. Very easy. You can measure Elon by what he does versus Bannon. One of the things that kind of set me back a little bit is when Elon becomes Trump's advisor, Bannon really starts bashing on him. But when Elon is really pushing President Trump to release all of the Epstein files, and he's pushing hard, at that same time, a couple of years ago, Bannon came out against Elon, urging the president of the United States to cancel the SpaceX contracts and deport Elon and ban him from the United States. I never understood that. Here's a guy that plausibly all he's done is gotten close to President Trump, bought Twitter, gave it back to the people. That was such a blessing for the whole world. But in that mix, the way Bannon acted was not only to attack Elon, but to try to encourage the president to cancel the SpaceX contracts and deport Elon. You can go back and look. It was only the left and the activists that were saying the same exact thing. That has always bugged me. For me, I just don't get it. But that one has always bugged me. Is it jealousy? I don't know. Certainly insane, to say the least. But, what are we looking at? I don't know. Here's some more.
So I believe that this photo is being seriously underestimated, and I need you guys to understand why. So there are two photos from the Epstein files that no one is talking about, and I get it. They look boring. It's just people in a room. But when you look at where this photo was taken, who's in it, and what kind of discussion appears to be happening, it gets unsettling very fast. I can confidently identify three people. On the far left, wearing green, is Martin Nowak, a world-renowned evolutionary biologist who founded Harvard's program for evolutionary dynamics. In the center is, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. And to his right in the brown jacket is Steve Bannon. At the time this photo appears to have been taken, Bannon was running Trump's 2016 campaign and would soon become White House chief strategist. Everyone else in that room is still unidentified, so if you recognize anyone, say something. Now, based on the room overall, this photo was taken inside Harvard University within the program for evolutionary dynamics sometime between 2015 and 2017. That program studies how ideas, behaviors, or traits spread through groups of people, how they catch on, how they become the normal, and how hard they are to undo once established. Epstein himself donated $6.5 million to help launch this program and actually kept a private office inside of it. Now, this next part is critical. Jeffrey Epstein had a long documented obsession with eugenics, which is the belief that humanity can be improved by controlling who gets to reproduce and who doesn't. Historically, that's led to forced sterilizations, racial hierarchies, and mass atrocities. Epstein openly talked about DNA heredity and creating a genetic legacy, and he also discussed seeding his DNA, selecting traits, and engineering future generations, and he funded scientists, courted academics, and embedded himself inside elite research environments that gave those ideas credibility and cover. Now look at the chalkboard. That's advanced mathematical modeling, the kind used to study how groups of people change over time, how certain traits or ideas become dominant, and how hard it is to reverse them once they take hold, which brings us to Steve Bannon. At the time this photo was taken, Bannon was shaping Trump's campaign and then national policy, and his focus has never been just messaging. It's been systems, how institutions are taken over, how norms are replaced, how loyalty replaces expertise, how power consolidates. Now, this next part is my speculation. At its most benign, this could have been a discussion about applying population-level modeling to politics. That kind of thinking has been used for decades in military strategy and governance. But what I can't shake is that this is a room where the science of how populations change and stabilize and how it overlaps with a man who believes humanity itself should be engineered, optimized, and selectively shaped. That combination is exactly how dehumanizing ideologies and worse have been historically laundered into respectability through elite institutions and academic language. Now, we don't know what was discussed, but what we do know is that someone deeply embedded in Trump's political orbit met with Jeffrey Epstein inside an elite academic program Epstein helped fund and occupy. That alone makes these photos worth far more attention than they've received. Now, I've done a much deeper breakdown on Substack, including Epstein's eugenic fixation, the math behind this work, and why this intersection matters. So make sure you're following, and if you recognize anyone in these photos, please drop them in the comments.
Does that strike you as odd? It's certainly questionable, right? And moving masses of people are something that these guys do, right? So I tend to think, okay, for a moment, let's digress and let's think, and I'm going to ask this question of you, and I want you to answer in chat. It's a very straightforward question. Do you think Steve Bannon is some sort of op? Simple question. Do you, and yes, there's discussions, we'll get into it, about you got to be in the media to move it. Do you think Steve Bannon is an op of some sort? Some say no, maybe. I'm looking on other platforms, possible. No, I don't know, possible. Official op, no. 100% yes. Yes, Bannon is a CIA asset. Yes. Could be, but he's an op for good. Most likely, yes. Maybe, not sure. Definitely, I don't know. So views are all over the place. Except in his own correspondence to Epstein, he says, it's an op, dude. I do this for a living. The pieces that are dropping are deeply researched. This is a sophisticated op. This is his own word. It's an op, dude. I do this for a living. That's Bannon's words. I asked you if he ran and was ops. Now that's Bannon's words. That's 100% irrefutable. That is Bannon's words. Period. Now, if you go backwards in time, these are the things I question. Simply because I'm like you. I just want to know. I just want to know. What is this that we're seeing? What is it? And there's all this big conundrum. Wasn't all an op to begin with. And during this stuff, he's dialoguing with Epstein and he says, quote, it's an op, dude. I do this for a living. Why is he explaining that? Then I don't know if you can see this one, right? This is where Epstein is basically talking about Gorgie Schwartz, which is George Soros, was careful not to register under FARA. NGOs, which is how Soros does all his bad stuff to get the money, okay, were carefully structured. Epstein is saying to Bannon, my reading is that you can form a media company and that makes the umbrella exemption. And because Epstein saying media has a lot of advantages, privileges, sources, etc. Steve Bannon says, excellent, I'm on it. Which in fact is what he became. I want to be very careful here. I'm only giving you his exact words and other people's opinions. I asked you kind of a direct question. Are we all under an op? Is it an op? And Bannon says, and there's two parts to this. It's an op, dude. I do this for a living. Post-Trump and everything, and all the stuff going on, here it is. Jeffrey Epstein is explaining to Bannon how Soros does it and never gets in trouble, and that NGOs were set up carefully, and here it is. And the way you're going to do it is you need to set up a media company, and that basically gets you under the some umbrella. And Bannon's saying, excellent, on it. And he's basically saying, Epstein, the media has tons of advantage, sources, privileges, etc. Because you end up, if you're truly in media and you have a show, you can say, well, I'm not going to divulge my source. And you have a bit of protection. I just question that. Do you broadcast because you have something to say, which is what I do? Do you broadcast because you have something to teach, which is what I do? I can only judge it by what I am. Or do you set up a media company because it gets you cover and you can run your ops? And by the way, he says, I do this for a living. I don't know if you can see this other one, is it? All this is back channel kind of undercutting President Trump, talking about Israel. Oh, I'll put pressure on it. I'll do this, I'll do that. But it's too small on the screen, so I'm not going to try to walk you through it because you can't see it for yourself. Again, simple facts. I'm giving you other people's words. I'm giving you his and other people's words. I'm giving you Bannon words. I'm giving you Epstein words. And every now and then I'll give you my opinion. You do know that one of the, and I've always questioned this. Let me give you an example. If you look at the Dominion lawsuits, for the bigger names that Dominion sued, the networks, President Trump, etc., other individual people, Dominion and their attorneys and all that went aggressively after them and forced them to pay millions. It's in excess of well over $1 billion+ physically paid. When I sit back and look at that, then I ask questions like, well, you know, they're going after Mike Lindell and they're not, and they've got judgments. Same with Coomer. Coomer got a $2 million judgment. They're not going after his stock. Why is that? Another guy who claims to be tech mogul, creator extraordinaire, second only to Google, that, in my opinion, helped start all this mess, always talks about how wealthy he is, this, things he has, and this event place, and this, and has tons of stock with Mike, and again, has all these judgments against him, but nobody's going after the assets that are sitting there. So my question is, when I look at that, is that optics? Because if I wanted to take a bad guy and make him really look like a good guy, wouldn't throwing him in jail be the ultimate cover? Just a question. Wouldn't throwing them in jail be the ultimate cover? Well, he must be a good guy. They went after him. They threw him in jail. Just a question. Because, none of this makes sense to any of us. And that's all anybody's trying to do, right, is get answers. Again, when you look at Dominion or Antifa or It's the Machines or Melt the Prison Bars or We Got It All or We Got It PCAPs, and the people that promoted all that, and you see all the same people, you do understand that one extra person you can drop in that mix is Bannon. Bannon was the media channel that had the reach that was pushing it out there. And regularly has people on that are part of that process, quote unquote, election integrity experts, but never the real stuff. That just strikes me as odd. Why? Again, one of the things you can do is just step back and look at the operations and look at what was said and look where it came from and look who promoted it. And you can do all these people, and it's all the same people. But if you really look at the media driver, which we just saw, Jeffrey told Bannon, get into media. Bannon says, I'm a special ed, I'm op, it's what I do. And that's where you saw all the media for it. It's the machines, it's this, it's that. What are we seeing? And is there a lot to unpack under this mess of what's truth or not? Let's see if I played this one.
So I believe that this photo is being seriously underestimated.
And there's a lot of people that trust and love Bannon. He's earned that too. That's all we're trying to do is decide what's what. What side of the spectrum are we seeing here? Is he a white hat or is he a black hat operator? It's very hard to discern. That's why we're talking about this.
This is a shattering moment, really, for a lot of people. A lot of people are let down and are brokenhearted about this. And you see a lot of people on social media right now saying that, I never was into Steve Bannon. I always knew. I call bullshit on a lot of them because this guy has had a loyal fan base that has grown exponentially over the years. And like I said, any event that I've done a lot of media rows. Nobody drew a crowd the way Steve Bannon did. He dominated Media Row at every event I was at. So his listener base is a loyal following. And so I would just say the time is now. Offer your explanation or address your mentions in the files, your relationships with Epstein, how you feel about Trump. Get it out there because I don't even know what to say. It's disheartening to see it. But shame on him for this relationship that he's had with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, if there's some kind of explanation like, hey, I was in with the CIA trying to trap him or get evidence on him or something like that, maybe he comes up with something like that and spins the whole thing around. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying I can't imagine another excuse that he could give to justify this type of relationship that he had with Jeffrey Epstein. So what's your take on Bannon's involvement, relationship with Epstein? How do you feel about Bannon right now? Sound off. Get a comment down below.
You're listening to the Alec Lake Show. The future is family.
Alex, great guy, rock solid. Even rock solid people are having questions. Now, you're right to call me out. I told you that that Bannon made money on pillows. Something wrong, says Jovan. You are one of maybe 100 people who supported my pillow ads. I think you should remind people Mike still wouldn't communicate with you before we took this stance on it. And you're right. By the way, there were over 1,000 people that came out, podcast or otherwise, supporting Mike early on in his crusade when he got booted from retail stores. I was one of them. Absolutely. Loved his product, still love his product, still sleep on my pillows. Except, and this was a struggle I had. I took Mike Lindell at face value. Right? Total face value. And where I went with Mike, because this is all tied together. I just told you, Bannon made over $1 million with pillows. Right? I'm just telling you, I took Mike at face value, period. Period. I gave Mike the benefit of the doubt that he's a fighter and a warrior, period. My questions with Mike, and all of this ties together because Mike and Bannon are linked at the hip. I started questioning Mike when someone he introduced to a mix, I discovered and outed as British intelligence. So I accepted at that time, Mike's a good guy. Mike got infiltrated by a foreign asset. I accepted it. Okay? But I always had a little reserve, and my reserve is Mike super ADD, mega ADD, and he's not paying attention. Is that what I'm looking at? But it wasn't kind of passive, because we find out from the backside of it is Mike was trying to get President Trump to accept some new drug for COVID. I think it was called Oleander or something like that. Don't know. You can look it up yourself. And trying to get the Trump administration to write a big check. And that was with this guy that's highly questionable. So I questioned that. But I thought, okay, well, maybe he sees it as a business deal and they're just trying to use him to get into Trump. I'm giving my own personal telemetry of how I looked at this. Then we start going on. And I start looking at it, and I got a call from Mike to participate in his original documentary, which I did. And I flew into Memphis to do the original Absolute Proof, whatever it's called. Anyway. And I sat there, and I met many great people like Matt DePerno, etc. I met Shiva for the first time. I met I'm having a brain fart. Patrick Colbeck and others. I sit there and have discussions. It's my time to go upstairs and film, and they show me where they're filming with Bannon. And I couldn't figure out, why is there a lady on the phone directing this infomercial, ostensibly, right? And a lot of things happened at once. I realized I got infiltrated on my side. Somebody sent me information wanting me to release it, and it was crap. I realized I was getting set up. And I hear this lady on the phone, and it turns out to be Mary Fannin, who turns out to be ex-CIA and whatever. And she's the one really calling the shots, not Mike. She is. Every single word, every single saying on this thing. I'm going, what? And so after it was all said and done, and I heard all of this crap about the votes going overseas and this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that, I told Mike and Bannon, don't confuse Bannon with Bannon, Bannon, do not use me in your documentary. See, I only talked about paper. If you were actually see the footage, I only talked about the paper and what they do with shuffling the boxes and how they hide them and how they pre-pick them, which you know to be true. But I was watching all this stuff and I realized I don't agree with this shit. Now, Mike's saying 1 billion people are going to see this. I don't give a shit about 1 billion people seeing bullshit. I don't want to be involved in it. And so when I got back, I thought about what I saw in the people I met, the people that I really liked, right? Matt DePerno, rock solid guy. The other people I just had just a lot of questions about, especially the CIA person on the phone directing this thing. So I let Mike know and Brandon know in writing, do not use me in your production. I revoke my right for you to use it because I'm going to be doing the audit in Arizona. When I look back over that, I realized that those people that were detractors, and I'm about to give you some pieces I've never said before. Those people that were detractors of all like the audit and the stuff like this, Shiva per se, right? He didn't do an audit. He didn't do this. He did all the crap with Altman and Clements. They were all kind of involved then. But if I just took another month and a half back before that production, and somehow I got dropped into this signal group, only to find out it was Mike and this operations signal group, and they're trying to find out what I can do. I bowed out of that group. That's where I discovered this MI6 guy. That's why I discovered people that were known CIA people, right? That were actively in this mix. And I decided for me, that doesn't work simply because I don't know who to trust. So the best way to protect myself is I'm not going to get in it. Something I've never told you. One of the people that was leading this charge on data and stuff in the group was Code Monkey. How I ever first heard that name was way back then. And it was Mike who put Code Monkey on. And then you come forward and it's Mike and Code Monkey and all these guys that gets the Tina Peters shit. And it's just over and over and compounded and compounded and over and over and compounded and compounded. Now, I only say this because you brought it up. Here it is. Yeah, I sold the pillows for Mike, helping him out. But there's a point in time when you say somebody's ADD and not paying attention till you go to they're just a fucking fool to nobody's this foolish. You understand that, right? Every bit of you, especially, Ron Watkins, Co-Monkey, every one of you watched me struggle with this issue with Mike. I was never on Lindell TV or Frank TV with Mike to do anything ever. Avoided it like the plague. Right? In fact, the last time on somebody else's show who happened to be on Mike's network, when they found out it was me, the producer told them they can't have me on Mike's air. And so I watched this play out. And I watched these connections. And here's where I've gone from this. I've gone from Mike got infiltrated, to Mike didn't pay attention, to Mike's a fucking idiot, to it still goes on. And so the only answer is he's part of it. That's the only answer I got. And now when I look at this come out, what was Mike's media driver? It wasn't Frank TV or Lindell TV. The viewership is nothing, was nothing, and is still nothing. Wasn't even nothing back then. It was all total bullshit. You could have turned on your camera and got more people to watch. When they got the thing public, to me, that again, that's another part of an operation because money changes hands that way. And so for me, and you're right to call this out, but you also saw me, what has it been, 3 years now or whatever? I just stopped talking about pillows or promoting pillows. Can't go back and cut them out of some very old shows if we do a rerun. Outside of that, I don't do it. Because it doesn't matter at all, if you're going to get paid a commission from something. Because no amount of commission can convince me to pay somebody or to get paid to put somebody on that I know their shit's bullshit. But if I now look at the media driver, now this is a different thing here. This is how it collides with Bannon. Mike didn't get viewers for PCAPs because of Lindell TV. There were no viewers. And I'm talking scant viewers. You could look at great people that were on Mike's airtime. They might have 100 followers. Literally, you have more followers than they had on Lindell TV. So who was the engine? Who was the engine behind it's the machines? We got it all. It's PCAPs. It went to foreign countries. Who was the engine? The engine was actually Steve Bannon. It was Steve Bannon. It was Bannon's audience and the relationship with Bannon as a media company. Go form a media company. That's how you do it. Do it now. It was the Bannon media thing that drove the PCAPs, Mike Lindell, we got it all, burn the machines. It was his bandwidth. So when I now look at these things where Bannon is saying, it's an op, dude, I do this for a living, or Epstein, and that's with Epstein, telling him, hey, set up a media company, here's how you get around it. I have to ask myself, fuck. So all this stuff for Bannon coming down is just kind of a little bit more of a confirmation for me. Something's not right. So with that said, name some of the people that you truly trust out there. That you truly trust, they'll give you the right information. Aside from like Donald Trump or whatever, if you had to choose somebody that broadcasts, like a Mel K or a Roseanne or whatever the case may be, what are some of the people that you believe they're good, honest, straight people that will just give you the facts? By the way, Bannon only now says, I'm not the machine guy. That's a change because of you. That's a change that started about 2 years ago when he changed from, well, I'm not a machine guy, because he had enough information, especially information coming out of the White House in my meetings, that it wasn't the fucking machines. So he had inside information. He changed. I'm not a machine guy. So Bongino, Gardner, Tom Renz, Tucker, Dilley, Dinesh. Let's look at some of these other ones you put up there. Not me. People that you consider, Stephen Gardner, et cetera, okay? Let me play this for you without any setup.
Then there's Steve Bannon, man of the people. Now, to the outside world, Steve Bannon is a populist. He's on the side of the common man. He reflects the ideology of the common man on his show, War Room. He won't put up with those rich elites. They're destroying the country. He, Steve, is the leader of a movement that is saving the country. Except there's a facade. Steve Bannon is all over the Epstein files. It's not just that Bannon knew Epstein. Bannon was a close advisor and confidant to Epstein. Bannon was planning to make a documentary film defending Epstein. By the way, prior to the release of the files, Bannon made it sound like he was doing a film critical of Epstein. Au contraire, Bannon was essentially serving as Epstein's PR man. Epstein, too, saw himself as a promoter of Bannon. You scratch my groin and I'll scratch yours. Sorry, I had to go there. Now, in one exchange, Epstein basically tells Bannon that he needs a bit of a rebranding. Bannon is seen too much as a political hack. Epstein wants Bannon to go into media. This will provide a much better cover for him. The underlying assumption is that Bannon can make shady deals, but hide behind the banner of being a journalist. Now, consider one of Bannon's biggest scams, raising money to build the wall. For Bannon, this was basically a ruse to get money for himself. What he really wanted was for well-meaning rubes to give him their hard-earned money. But it doesn't work to say, I'm a lazy, disheveled Wall Street guy, I want to live high on the hog, so give me money. Now that wouldn't fly. So Bannon says instead, workers of the world unite. Give me money so that I can build a wall and save your jobs. Bannon was convicted of this racket and then pardoned by Trump. You might say, you too, Dinesh, were convicted and pardoned. Well, yes, but I was convicted of exceeding the campaign finance limit, which is trying to give away too much of my own money. Bannon was convicted of trying to steal from others. Big difference. Incidentally, in order to pull off this confidence trick, Bannon could not afford to be seen as a political hack. He needed to be seen as an honest journalist, a champion of the people. The whole scam depended on it. So Epstein understood the game. He wanted to help Bannon to play it better. We see here that Epstein's club was not just about sex, it was also about political and cultural power. It was about jobs and career advancement and steering the course of scientific research. It was about playing the system. The people in this network, Epstein included, are not so much immoral as they are amoral. For them, it's about power and sex and money. It's not about anything else because there is nothing else. These are people who live by Dostoevsky's maxim, if God is not, everything is permitted. You can see now why the new atheists were all over Epstein like flies circling poop. For the fly, there's no inherent aversion to poop. In fact, for the fly, poop is a delicacy.
What do you think about that? What do you think about Dinesh's opinion? Do you have any opinion on it? Had you seen that? I think it was rather concise and focused, right? I think it was rather concise and focused. What do you think? Did that give you any insight? I think Dinesh is very bright and a moral guy. I tend to think too. That's my opinion of Dinesh. Super smart guy. Super detailed guy. He's deep, right? I think he has believability, credibility, etc. So, but what do you think about what he said? What do you think about he said? Does that move the needle for you? At all? Does that move the needle for you at all? Does it make you go, wow, I didn't think about that, right? That's a pretty interesting point, right? I was trying to find something for you because y'all were talking about emerald. I found an old bra commercial she did selling a bra. Anyway, raises eyebrows, right? But here's what we know. All politics are dogs. So that's Dinesh's view. Let's look at another view. Again, I'm giving you other people's views. I want your opinion because all we're asking, I just want your opinion. What is your opinion? That's it. See, we're all trying to get down to facts, right? I want to stress there's a difference between media And there's a difference between people like me. I don't consider myself media. I consider myself a teacher, right? Somebody said, Deplorable said, I think Denise is jealous of Bannon's audience. I actually think the numbers might be on Denise's side with movies and everything else. He doesn't, he's not considered quote unquote a social media guy, but that could be it. I don't know. T.S. Smith says Bannon called for arrest and accountability of corruption, understanding these elites are untouchable as he saw himself. Does that mean he really wanted it? Does that mean it's part of set up your media company? Wow, that's excellent. I got to do it. Sounds great. I'm on it. What is it? The filter changes a little bit when he goes from an operative to in the White House to a media guy. Now he's with Epstein on a lot of stuff, and Epstein saying set up as a media can do anything, and then you go here is Bannon on media calling for arrest and accountability. Odd though. I could play that card two ways. I could play they're building their army of influence, because it's all about influence, folks. Come on. 95% of the facade bullshit media see is delivering a message for the powers that be in bullshit media. That's it. There is no media, folks. There is no media. A good example would be this data guru butt wipe, Garrett Archer in Maricopa, supposed to be their election expert, but won't debate, won't look at anything. There is no media on the right or the left. I think the right has diggers like Mel K, that truly dig. I think the right has people that are unwavered in their dedication to the country and doing what's right, like Cowboy Logic, Don and Donna. And then I think there are people that are just, here it is, here's my view, and this is all shit, like Roseanne, right? Or people really trying to make sense of it, like a Stephen Gardner, who's really good, who looks, who digs. But I think past that, there aren't many true diggers anymore. So I'm beginning to think media is just not a real word per se. So let's just take it for what it is. It's like everybody else. It's opinions. Here you go.
So MAGA, what do you think? Do you think maybe it's time for us to have a conversation, a real heart-to-heart conversation about Steve Bannon and the things that are starting to be uncovered about his really strange, really weird relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? That's right. Steve Bannon, the guy that spends hours a day on his podcast pretending as though he is this champion for MAGA, for America First. And yet we find out that he spent several years working directly with Jeffrey Epstein in an effort to rehabilitate his image, not before everyone knew about Jeffrey Epstein, but after. So coming up in this content creation space, a lot of people warned me to stay far away from Steve Bannon, and I did, because something just didn't sit right with me in my spirit. But to find out that Steve Bannon was engaged in a multi-year long strategy effort to try to figure out ways to destroy not only the first Trump presidency, but also Donald Trump personally, and working directly with Jeffrey Epstein for years, private dinners at his properties, long running text conversations, and what appears now to be a strategy session to try to figure out how to strip Donald Trump of his presidential immunity protection so that he can be indicted. It's a slap in the face. It's a betrayal. And then I came across this, and it all started to make sense. You see, one of the things that became crystal clear in the conversations that Steve Bannon was having with Jeffrey Epstein is he saw himself as being far more important in the MAGA movement than anybody else did. This is a conversation that was happening between Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon. Go ahead and pause it to read it. But I want to get you down to this point right here where Jeffrey Epstein was asking if Steve Bannon could help mediate conversations between Jared Kushner. And Steve Bannon's response was, why would I want to do that? And then he goes on and says, to do that shows that DJT is the center of gravity of this movement and not me. It seems like that's it. It seems like it's not any more complicated than that. Forget the money, forget the influence. Is this all about jealousy? Was he actually working with one of the worst human beings on the planet because he was jealous that the MAGA movement recognized Trump as its center and not him? Because that's what he just said in that conversation.
Is Steve Bannon the heartbeat, the reason, the focus for MAGA movement? Do you credit Steve Bannon for feeling the way you do? Question. He's upset about it. I watched a fight one day in election integrity between big people claiming how much money they put in. Right? And it was a jockeying for who's going to get credit for it. And who everybody's going to talk about put the most money in to save the elections. Is that even a consideration? Who gets the bragging right that I went broke, I put all my money in? Or I put this in, I put 80 million in, put 40 million in, put 50 million in? Is that even I witnessed this conversation. I'll give you a little hint. Never said this one before. I won't tell you where it was. There was a speaking engagement I was invited to. Right? To present on election integrity. When I looked at it, now get ready, because I've never said this before. When I looked at the roster, one of the people presenting was Dr. Frank. And I basically sent an email saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to present when I know people there are going to hear this shit about a 6 polynomial bullshit. And I know that keeps people on the machines and it makes people think this is fixed. So I'm not going to do it. So I said, you can have a choice. You can either have me or him. Take your choice. I'll do it. But I'm not going to support sending a mixed message because that, in fact, is an ineffective mixed message. The event opted to then remove Dr. Frank from the slate. And then all hell broke loose because Dr. Frank called called Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell wasn't going to stand that his guy wasn't going to be there. Mike Lindell then picked up the phone and talked to two big names, other big names that were speaking, big names, not that draw the crowd names. And by the way, Tristan, thank you so very much for that generous donation on Rumble. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It all goes to election integrity. Anyway, so Dr. Frank got upset. Dr. Frank called Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell heard about it. They said, yes, we got rid of Dr. Frank at Jovan's request. Mike Lindell picked up the phone, called a VRP or two who were going to be there and said, this cannot happen. My guy must be there. My team is the election integrity team. and you better do something about this. So I get a call from those VIPers and word back that Mike Lindell has put a pressure on them not to appear if I appear. And then one of them asked me, will you please do it and just make the most out of it? So I did. It's the last time I did that. Only time and last time I did that favor. But that's the behind the scenes of this bullshit. That's also how much of an influence game, a con game, a media game is in this. It's all a fucking con, folks. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's all a con. And that's why we're even doing this. You kind of have to make your own decision and do your own work. Trust nobody. Audit me. Audit everybody around you. If somebody says, I predicted exactly what the Georgia Senate was going to do in this race, don't go, oh, well, great, you're a hero. Say, show me. Let me see it. And if they send you a Post-it note, you know they're full of shit. Be better. Ready for this? Tank all media. Watch what the trends are, watch what's really headline important, and then go dig, and then go dig, and then go get. But there's been so much in this movement that work against the facts. The facts is not cherished in this stuff. I got 3 more clips, but I think they're important. Okay? To the story, you make up your own mind. You make up your own mind.
You have to see these Epstein documents I found that show how Steve Bannon is more deeply involved and how he and Epstein were possibly laundering money through the World of Warcraft game tokens and how they were using young kids in games to hack computer systems, all sorts of them. Check this out. There's this email between Bannon and Epstein. You can see the file number here and look it up yourself. But they're talking about intelligence agencies in the crowd and how they get hacks. And they say they're not creative. They convince the Spectrum boys to play a game. As the boys are socially, I'm not using the R word, and they just play and give up their secrets, read the kernel. That's the hardware that you have to hack into to get to the software. So that's what they're talking about there. There is also an exchange for money for what is known as zero-day exploits. Hacks that can be bought and have never been used. That's what it means for 0 day. So they're basically buying hacks from young kids playing games on the internet. Epstein goes on to say there are 20,000 hackers showing up at the same place. They will be sharing ideas on hacking crypto exchanges, voting booths, guys. They were working on getting kids to help them hack voting booths, medical records, crypto wallets, all sorts of stuff. They have a competition on which team can break a secure code. Kind of like Jeopardy, he says. And this is terrifying. They talk about hacking self-driving cars and planes. And we know Epstein was online talking to gamers, playing with gamers using World of Warcraft because he had an Xbox Live subscription. Here's the cancellation of it when he was convicted of his crimes and had to register as a you-know-what. And we know that during this time, Steve Bannon in 2007 was made the CEO of IGE, a company that would mine currency, digital currency in games like World of Warcraft Gold. And it is possible he was working with Epstein on this, and Goldman Sachs is involved in this. They invested in this company Bannon was part of. And they could have been laundering money through this digital gaming currency. Remember, this is before we had cryptocurrency. So we had this digital gaming currency on these platforms they could do all of this with, and it was like completely untraceable. And what's even crazier about this is the general counsel for Goldman Sachs, Catherine Rumler, was found in the Epstein files, is implicated having a relationship very close with Epstein, and Goldman Sachs is here in the middle of this with Steve Bannon's company. So I think there's a lot more involvement with Goldman Sachs All of this needs to be heavily investigated. Let me know if you agree. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
That where there's smoke, there's fire. I do agree with that. But you understand, you even go back pre-Trump things. And somebody says, well, maybe these emails themselves could be plants. You're right. But I also think that may be the system's goal. If you think everything's a plant, you kind of believe nothing. And don't they want you to believe nothing? I mean, if you had to think about it at the end of the day, don't they want to make you believe anything? I mean, isn't that the thing? See, I can't get past and the dialogue. And this is my personal issue. When Steve Bannon with Epstein basically says, it's an op, dude. That's Bannon talking to Epstein. I do this for a living. Do you think if somebody tells you that they do ops for a living, they do ops for a living? But then you combine it with the fact that it was Epstein that basically showed Bannon how George Soros does it with NGOs. Here, you can do it and be covered in a media cover with umbrella. Here it is. And here's the dialogue, and I'm on it. I'm doing it. Let's do it. Is that a guy who went to war for MAGA or created MAGA? He says he's upset he's not the center of MAGA. Is that what it is? Or is this just an opportunity? It's an op, dude. I do this for a living. Oh, Epstein, set up a media company, and here you go. I don't know, and that's why we should all talk about this. Two more. Here you go. I'm gonna just let this one play because I just want you to hear from people.
What's going on, everybody? I normally don't make videos like this, especially on a Sunday. It's usually my day off, but I just have to put this out there because what I am seeing from the Anon community and so many others within MAGA, I believe, I have never seen gaslighting on such a epic level within this amazing movement that we've been part of since Trump's first admin. And all I'm referring to is the simple revelation that we all got to read hundreds of text messages between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein and how disgusting these messages are. And the wargaming of going through Trump's financials, the wargaming of trying to strip Trump of his presidential immunity to bring him down, the joking, the laughing, and it's already bad enough that Bannon was trying to rehabilitate one of the most well-known, prolific, elite pedophiles that this world has ever known. That's already bad enough as it is. We all kind of knew that was laying around somewhere. And then you get the text messages that show that this wasn't just some work relationship and this wasn't just some chummy side gig for Bannon. This was straight up fucking, how do we bring Trump down? And it's horrific. And the reason why I'm so upset about it is because I used to watch his show all the time. I supported all those people on his network, all those people. And seeing his circle from Benny Johnson to Jack Pasabic and Mike Adams and General Flynn, Marjorie Taylor Greene, everyone surrounding him, they are completely silent. And I'll give some credit to Raheem Kassam. He actually went back and forth with me and then blocked me like half of the other staff did. And they're yelling at us for simply wanting some answers from a guy that promoted himself as a Christian warrior to take down the pedophile elite, the globalist, and to bring goodness to this country, and you find out that that same guy was chummy and really close, deep relationship friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And we are getting yelled at, we are getting gaslit for simply asking an explanation of any kind of sort. And you know what you get from the Anon community, and why I, after 2020 post-Q, I knew this day was coming for so many of them, that they can't parse reality and they can't parse actual sauce, actual evidence. And what they do is they chalk up everything to 5D chess, and they chalk everything up to expand your thinking, you stupid moron. Why can't you figure out that this is there's something more going on here with zero evidence? Zero evidence. And I'm sitting here like, why are we the ones that the most dedicated, some of us, including myself, I've dedicated my life doing this for almost 8 years now. My family has been destroyed financially, not once, but twice because of this. From Media Matters to exposing COVID, voter fraud, you name it, cheering on Steve Bannon, cheering on all these people. And what do we get? We get what happened to you, Scott. What happened to you? How dare you ask these questions? Raheem Kassam legit told me that Steve Bannon was working a source referencing Epstein, and basically that was Trump's means to stay ahead of the left and figure out where they wanted to go with things. And I can't accept that. I can't accept that. If that's the grand scheme and that's where this is all going, then at this point, like, put it out there. Put it out there, because every day that goes by that the entire network surrounding Bannon is quiet about this, while they're yelling on all their own shows and podcasts that they are not stopping till they figure out we get to the bottom of Epstein. And you're one of your closest friends that are TPUSA events around Charlie Kirk's legacy, around all you guys, and you're not at least saying, hey, what's going on here? And owing your audience, owing the thousands of people, millions of people that have supported you, at least some explanation as to what happened. And all we've gotten is Steve Bannon was just working a source. You're retarded. It's 5D chess. Expand your thinking, and we'll wait to see what happens. And this is the problem that I saw in 2020 with the Anon community post-Q stuff, man, because you just can't keep going down that same road without having some sauce and constantly gaslighting yourself, saying there's a deeper thing, there's a deeper thing. You never get to a conclusion that way. And you're left really mentally exhausted and mentally shot, because it's never ending. It's never ending. And I just can't believe that the one simply just, we're not even asking for our heads to roll at this point. We just want to know what happened here, dude. What happened here? And it's been like 5 or 6 days now. Maybe they'll address it, but don't come after people that are asking very simple questions that should be very simple answers, and not getting told it's 5D chess. Now shut the fuck up. That's it. Case closed. Oh, I'm sorry. We're so stupid we didn't realize it. The ones that have been part of this community from the fucking beginning. Like, we don't understand what Q was during that season, right? And I can't believe people are saying to me, what happened to you? I'm just like, what do you mean what happened to me? I don't have a network that's attached to Bannon, which has huge ties to Epstein, which in the text clearly show that he was doing everything he could to figure out a way to bring Trump down. Obvious. So we'll see where this video goes. I know it's long, but I've just been so disappointed and so sick of the majority of the people that have been left in this movement that I came up with. And I'm left speechless. I'm left speechless, guys. Much love.
A lot of questions. One of the ones driving this heat, I'm sorry, I have 3. These are real short, but I want to show you, I got Roger Stone coming up. But a lot of people driving this. One of them, the main one's Dilly.
What's destroying the war room is Steve Bannon's own fans reading these fucking emails between he and elite pedophile sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. I can't go in there and disrupt that. His fans already fucking hate me. It's not me. It's your own fans are coming to the level of awareness where they go, oh shit, I've been duped. I've read the fucking emails myself. You're a pig and a weirdo. It'd be like if you guys found out that I was like doing his job and you'd be like, it wouldn't have mattered what I've said over the years and how funny I am. You'd be like, yeah, that's gross, dude. Like you betrayed Trump. It's like the fucking cardinal sin. You built a platform on the back of Donald Trump. You can never betray him, ever. Nobody will ever forgive you, ever, and nor should they. I'm gonna go ahead and offend a bunch of people who shouldn't be here anyway, because I've absolutely had it with you, and I'm still running them off my account because people don't realize I'm not here for your clicks and I'm not here for maximum viewership. I'm good, bruh. But if you are still waiting to find out on Bannon, the door is right there. Just fucking. If you're still supporting Genital Flynn, again, same thing. There it is. You guys can, there's the door. You're brainwashed beyond my help. I don't even want to help you. I want you to stay completely fucking lost, and you can keep giving money to these people. You deserve everything you get at this point. Every single thing you get. So this is fine. And if you are still a Massey person, the door. Marjorie Trader Green, there's the door. Just, I don't want anything to do with you. Any of these fucking people, dude. All those people that were working to support and build the war room, who happily go on there all the time, but now are totally silent despite the absolute deluge of fucking emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon conspiring to take down Donald Trump. There's the fucking door. Don't want your money. Don't forget, cancel your subscriptions, unfollow my accounts, and then get the fuck out. Because I don't want anything to do with any of you fucking retards.
So that's Dilly. Somebody asked, Benny Johnson's not saying anything. Where does Benny Johnson come from? You should ask questions. You should be able to find people's backgrounds. You can go back to, for me, for decades and decades, whether it's Fox or NBC, CBS, or any of them, right? Me doing what I do, which is always technology and production. It looks like the one somebody asked a question in Rumble, Benny Johnson started doing his show October 24 with Westwood One. He does the Benny Show. He used to be a contributor or as a contributor as part of Turning Point USA. In 2014, he was with BuzzFeed, but they fired him after editors found 41 instances of plagiarism, according to Reuters, right? And then he parted ways with the Independent Journal Review, etc. Don't know. It says that on-air host role at Newsmax between 2020 and 2023. So that's his background. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, graduated University of Iowa, lives in Tampa, Florida. So that's for your question about Benny. Where does Benny come from? Finally, the one that has been most vocal about this for a long time, basically saying before anybody kind of jumped on it, I've known, for full disclosure, I have known for years, Bannon was a personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. I have known that for years. I've never uttered that. I've never said it, only because people I trust and know knew and showed me compelling evidence that was true. I never talked about it because it's not important in my world of election integrity. But it is something I've known for a very long time. But now in Bannon's world, it's not my world, it's Bannon world. That's why I said Bannongate, and trying to decide, is he a white hat? Is he a black heart op? What is he? We're asking questions. Why in the hell does he say he's an op? Why in the hell does he say that, Epstein helped him set up his media empire? Why in the hell does he tell the Epstein it's an op? Man, I do this for a living. Is that what you would have pegged Steve Bannon doing it for a living? I run ops? I don't know. Let's see. Don't know. Okay. But somebody who has had the most to say and usually has the goods to back it up is Roger Stone. Here's Roger Stone uninterrupted.
That Steve Bannon, who tried to knife Donald Trump in the back, the faux nationalist, met secretly with the convicted pedophile pimp for the Clintons, Jeffrey Epstein. This was reported by the New York Post. A black SUV pulled up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And believe me, for Steve Bannon to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning after the bender he was on the night before, must have been a big meeting. Sam Nunberg was seen in the SUV, his Sancho Panza. This is a guy who's gone from being a Trump speechwriter and researcher to being Steve Bannon's baggage handler. But the question is, and I'm going to let Jacob take over because I really am running out of steam. Why would somebody who is allegedly a nationalist, somebody who's allegedly against the globalists, somebody who's allegedly pledged his loyalty to the president, meeting with a man who, according to the Miami Herald, only recently was caught trafficking 80 underage children of both sexes to his pedophile buddies around the globe? Why would you meet with such a person? What productive purpose could you have sitting down in the home of such person if you weren't begging for money? So those conservatives, those nationalists, those Trump supporters out there who think Steve Bannon is a good guy, Sloppy Steve is in bed with Jeffrey Epstein. You need to be asking him why.
So, important thing about this meeting, I'm not going to begrudge Mr. Bannon for enjoying a drink or two. God knows I have and will continue to do so. But for me to get up at 7 a.m. for any type of meeting, it's payday. It's payday, 7 a.m. So Steve Bannon is going to this pedophile's haram. This place where he's
the single most largest and single most expensive piece of residential real estate in the borough of Manhattan.
Wow.
Must be quite a house.
Wow. So Mr. Bannon needs to come out and explain why he was at Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile pad, what he was doing there. Mr. Nunberg, as some people have said, was seen going in. We've never seen him come out. We hope that he is well. But Brother Bannon does, in fact, need to explain this because he's in league with a convicted pedophile, somebody who has procured young girls and boys for all of the elites and the globalists around the world. This is literally satanic pedophile army. And for somebody who's a nationalist, somebody who claims to be pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, it's very bizarre and odd to be going. What would motivate any of us to go into that person? There's nothing on this planet.
Would you sit down and have a cocktail with George Soros? I think the answer is no, right? The answer is no.
Well, I might have alternative...
No, but would you go have would you go have a breakfast with George Soros? The answer is, of course, no.
Right.
So you have to wonder what's happening. Now, there was a terrific story in the Associated Press because Bannon has tried to represent himself as somehow the master strategist for the nationalist forces in Europe. He met with the Italian conservative leader Salvini.
Mm-hmm.
Salvini said essentially to the Associated Press that, first of all, he said no gentleman would come to the meeting dressed as Bannon was.
Right.
He described him as slovenly. But secondarily, he said that Bannon's ideas were quaint, but that he really didn't understand Europe. So Europe doesn't need a nationalist strategist, Steve. You're not a strategist, by the way. Steve Bannon has never elected anybody to any office. He plays the game with other people's money. Rebecca and Robert Mercer have reportedly cut him off. He's now stiffing around Epstein for money. What does that tell you? I don't like the feel of it, but I do think, Steve, you can come on InfoWars. You have an open invitation to the War Room. Come on and explain to the Trump community, to the MAGA community, to the InfoWarriors, what were you doing with Jeffrey Epstein? We just want to know. You have an open invitation. Come on InfoWars, explain yourself. We'll be listening.
Yeah, so Bannon's one of these guys that I don't know what to make of him. I mean, I don't follow him necessarily. I just see him pop up every once in a while. One of my favorite YouTubers, Sargon of Akkad, has an interview with him that I thought was excellent. You listen to it, and all the ideas seen there, they seem good. What am I missing?
He's a he's a world-class bullshiffer. I mean, the guy talks a good game. He's never elected anybody to anything, but he's a political expert. He has to be controlled opposition. That's the only thing I can conclude. He was not originally for Donald Trump. He's originally for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Bush crime family. Ted Cruz's breath smells like George W. Bush's. Well, anyway, we'll get there. He's not a conservative. Steve, I mean, another guy who talks a great game, Ted Cruz.
Right.
You liked all the big government decisions of George W. Bush. Those are all the creations of Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is not a conservative. Ted Cruz has never been a conservative. Ted Cruz's wife is a member of the Trilateral Commission, and she's an official in the Council on Foreign Relations. That said, I still would have voted for him against the Beto cuck. Beto, but that's not saying much. So Ted is not a conservative, never was. Bush conservative, that's not a conservative. Bush crony capitalist, and that's where Steve began the race. He came to Donald Trump only when Trump won. He called himself the chief strategist of the Trump campaign. I've known Donald Trump for 40 years. Donald Trump is the chief strategist of the Donald Trump campaign. Steve Bannon had nothing whatsoever to do with Donald Trump's victory as president. Donald Trump invented Donald Trump. Donald Trump decided immigration would be a signature issue. The wall would be a signature issue. Revitalizing the American economy through tax cuts and regulatory cuts would be a signature issue. It was Donald Trump who decided those things back when Steve Bannon was still for Ted the Bushman Cruz. So this idea that he is the chief strategist of anything, and then he recently tried to put his ape-like associate Dave Bossy in as the White House chief of staff. Thank God the president saw through that. That was an attempt by Epstein to get control of the Bush White House staff. Fortunately, that failed. Dave Bossy is a man who, if his IQ was 1 point lower, you'd have to classify him as a plant and water him. So these quislings, these phonies have been identified now at InfoWars. A terrific piece I urge you to read online. And again, Steve, come on the show, explain what you're doing, having secret meetings with a convicted pedophile pimp for Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Open invitation to come on and clear your name, Mr. Bannon, and I would like likewise an open invitation to Owen Benjamin to come on and debate the moon landing. Lots of important information here we're getting out. More on the other side. We're going to get into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG. We'll be back just on the other.
What do you think? I think if anybody has a good inside view or inside take, it's probably Roger. Damn, he's a good dresser too. And not only is he a good dresser, he is a fine connoisseur of clothes. Right? But think about this. Does any of this bring you to the point that you're saying, okay, well, what really is Bannon? But I got to tell you, the thing for me personally, is my personal opinion, when there is dialogue between Bannon and Epstein, and Epstein saying, here's how George Soros gets away with it, with the NGOs, here's how they do the money and stuff, and here's what you need to do. You need to set up a media company that will also protect you for umbrella. And Steve says excellent on it, and they're talking about the media has a lot of advantages, privilege and stuff. And then when you look at actual dialogues, Steve Bannon's own words, advising Epstein again, hey, Epstein, it's an op, dude, and I do this for a living. I don't know. But this will be all I say about it. This is actually more about you. But here's what I know. I know, and in worse by many magnitudes, Trump was surrounded by operatives in Administration 1. And those operatives hobbled him. Those operatives hurt him. Those operatives destroyed him. Those operatives worked with the left. Now, that still goes on. But I'm telling you, first round was bad. And who was in the middle of that? None other than Mr. Bannon. Comment. Let me know what you think. But it's definitely a war, folks, and we're in the middle of it. And they're certainly willing to sacrifice us. They're certainly willing to sacrifice us. Love you all. Share the program.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need...
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-headed fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone!